Opposition is continuing to grow over Donald's misuse of ICE, that's Immigration and Customs Enforcement, which has basically become a tool for him to enact his deeply, deeply cruel immigration policies. Donald's Department of Justice is pushing for indictments against anti-ICE protesters in Southern California, but many of the charges are collapsing in court. Take a look.
Over the past few weeks, as immigration agents have detained thousands in sudden and aggressive raids, they've also arrested dozens of U.S. citizens, claiming they interfered or attacked law enforcement officers. People like Andrea Velez, cuffed as her mother and sister screamed in agony. Her charges have since been dismissed, and now the LA Times is reporting many of those cases are falling apart, claiming sources suggest U.S. Attorney Bill Asaley is having trouble moving cases forward. The LA Times says their look at the numbers found grand juries have indicted only 1 in 5 cases represented by federal prosecutors. A veteran member of the prosecutor's office told us it is extremely rare for a grand jury to return a no-bail decision. That's legal speak for refusing to indict someone, and is a sign prosecutors are vastly overreaching, filing cases they doubt they'll ever win.
In addition, The Guardian reports that many of the dismissed cases reveal ICE officers fabricated claims in order to justify arrests. Quote, the Justice Department has charged at least 26 people with assaulting and impeding federal officers and other crimes during the protests over immigration raids. Prosecutors, however, have since been forced to dismiss at least 8 of those felonies, many of them which relied on officers' inaccurate reports, court records show. The Justice Department has also dismissed at least 3 felony cases it brought against Angelenos accused of interfering with arrests during recent immigration raids, unquote. Law enforcement agents lying to incarcerate citizens exercising their First Amendment rights, all at the behest of a man who is now and always has been unfit to hold office, but thinks that by unleashing his horde of thugs in brown shirts to terrify people, to terrorize American citizens, he can change the subject away from his own really quite serious problems while continuing to try to accrue power to himself. We are in very dangerous territory here. But before we go on, it's crucial that we shine a spotlight on Donald's blatant abuses of power. So please, like and share this video, and if you believe in our mission, subscribe to our channel. Donald's use of ICE to target immigrants isn't simply inhumane, although that is the worst thing about it. It is also backfiring politically as well as economically. Donald promised to champion small businesses. Instead, because of his very own immigration policies, he's helping to gut them. Because of ICE raids at job sites, the construction industry is taking a hit. Take a look.
This mostly built 84,000 square foot recreation center close to Mobile, Alabama, had been on track for an on-time completion by November 1st. But the construction site's superintendent says he is now looking at a 3-week delay after about half of his workers stayed home for days out of fear of being arrested by Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Superintendent Robbie Robertson, who chose to conceal his face, told Reuters that it was a recent ICE raid on a job site in Florida, more than 200 miles away, that spooked his staff.
I know that we have lost a lot of our workers because of their hearing about these raids. We have got some of them back, but we're now about half capacity.
Immigration raids on building sites, part of an expanding crackdown by President Donald Trump on work sites across the country, are causing major disruptions to the construction industry, according to Reuters interviews. Robertson said his company faces a $4,000 penalty for every day it runs past its November 1st deadline.
That's what happens when you fail to do what you promised to do. Remember, during the campaign, Donald Trump told us that ICE was going to go after the worst of the worst. But that was never the intention. The intention was to go after anybody they don't want in this country. whether they're here legally or not, whether their work contributes to strengthening our economy or not. Because let's not kid ourselves, Donald's raids aren't making anyone safer. They're making life harder for everybody, including the workers who want to be doing the work and their employers and customers and businesses who are no longer able to provide certain services. Workers are terrified, projects are delayed, owners are losing money hand over fist. But of course, Donald Trump doesn't care. He's too busy feeding red meat to his base. And no matter what happens here, he is continuing to get richer than he could possibly ever have dreamed of. Any claim that, sorry, I didn't realize this. It is pure propaganda to claim that any of this is being done for the good of the country. Take this from DHS spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin. Quote, "Worksite enforcement remains a cornerstone of our efforts to protect public safety, national security, and economic stability," unquote. But the numbers don't back that up. According to Reuters, construction spending fell 3.5% in May after peaking during, yes, the Biden years. Donald's approval on immigration is plunged to just 41%. Where are the blue-collar jobs? Well, he's certainly not bringing them back. That was just yet another empty promise. Donald's immigration task force will do anything to try to manipulate the base into thinking that all they're doing here is the real work of deporting actual criminals. Remember, the worst of the worst. Donald's, people call him a border czar, but he's really not the border czar. He's just some fascist who was given way too much power. That would be the little Nazi Tom Homan, who defended ICE on Fox today. And the statistics he presented were extremely misleading, to say the least. Take a look.
But the left will make you seem like we're all arresting innocent people, disappearing people, kidnapping people. But the facts are the facts. ICE is prioritizing public safety threats and national security threats, and the numbers prove it.
Okay, that is a very, very bad liar right there. The numbers do not prove it. In fact, the data show that although 59% of voters support deporting undocumented immigrants with criminal records, they do not support deporting all documented people. Only 29% want blanket deportations because they are either deeply ill-informed or just as cruel and racist as the people they keep voting for. Nowhere does it say voters support detaining people in secret facilities without due process. Nowhere. This is disinformation being deployed by the Trump regime, including, and in some cases especially, the execrable Tom Homan. Meanwhile, even abuses of American citizens, also not criminals, keep surfacing. Watch this clip.
That's not how you arrest people. On the ground.
This was the moment Border Patrol and Florida Highway Patrol officers detained a U.S. citizen while conducting immigration enforcement. Kenny Linez, an 18-year-old high school senior, was on his way to work as a landscaper with two other co-workers and his mother, who was driving.
I got rights to talk, bro.
You got no rights here.
I do.
Illegal, brother. Get up. I was born and raised over here.
As a U.S. citizen, you hear that from an authority figure. What goes through your heart, through your mind?
Them saying that I have no rights here because I look like Hispanic.
No resiste, no resiste.
They were pulled over for having too many people sitting on the front seat of the car. Two passengers were undocumented. Officers deployed a taser.
What am I doing? Hey, Kevin!
Linez's phone keeps rolling after he is detained, capturing this exchange between the officers.
Starting to resist more now. We're gonna end up shooting somebody.
Just remember, you can smell that too with a $30,000 bone.
Wonderful. When an ICE officer tells a United States citizen that he has no rights, when ICE officers start fantasizing about the day they get to start shooting brown people so they can get a $30,000 bonus, I think it's safe to say that we have entered very, very dark territory. This is not immigration enforcement. This is not about immigration enforcement, and it never has been. We're talking about racial profiling, We're talking about law breaking, and we're talking about the dismantling of basic constitutional rights in this country. Now, while Donald continues to try to paint all immigrants as threats, this is something he will not say. Immigrants are protecting this country, sometimes at the cost of their lives. Yesterday in New York, there was a tragic event. Reuters reports that, quote, the New York police officer killed in a mass shooting in a Manhattan skyscraper on Monday was described by the city's mayor and police commissioner as a heroic Bangladeshi immigrant who saved lives while putting his life on the line. A gunman opened fire on Monday inside a Mintown office tower, killing 4 people, including Officer Dinarul Islam, 36, before fatally shooting himself, officials said, unquote. This is a horrific loss of life. Officer Islam may not have been born here, but when he came here, he dedicated his life to serving the people of his city, and he gave his life to protect them. Nobody in the Republican Party wants to hear stories like that. They want all of us to believe that anybody they don't like, anybody who doesn't look the way they think people should look, does not belong in this country, which, last I checked, was built as a country of immigrants. We were supposed to welcome immigrants to this country. We were supposed to provide people with a future in which they could aspire to anything. So that's what used to be the American dream. I don't think that exists anymore, to the extent, quite frankly, that it ever did. The Trump regime does not want immigrants here because it works for them politically, or at least it used to. Now, we have to hope they are taking it too far. And even some of their most loyal supporters are starting to sit up and take notice that this is not okay. None of this is normal. None of this is as it should be. And this is as far away from the American ideal, as aspirational as it may have been, than we have ever been, at least in my lifetime.
Please take a second and like and share this video. It'd be awesome if you could subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to us in podcast form, please follow us and give the show a 5-star rating because it really does help other people find our content. Thanks.